I think the New York City Muslim Day Parade is a perfect microcosm of Muslim representation in America. You had a majority of Muslims that were of all races, creeds, and heritage that were celebrating their country and were clearly proud of being American.
I live in America, I work in America, I sleep in America, I was born in America. I love this country.
But unfortunately, there are also those Muslims that hold more radical views.
Islam will dominate. That's what it will be.
These groups are not Al-Qaeda, they're not Hamas, they're not Hezbollah, and most of them are nonviolent. But they still want to replace American law with their version of Sharia, Islamic law.
We want to see Sharia here, and it will be. The flag of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah will be, inshallah, in the White House if that's what we choose to be. It just takes time. The American people are waking up now.
Allah does say that the whole world eventually will be under his ruling. The world will come down to where everybody obeys the laws of God. Simple as that.
When groups like these talk about wanting to create a global Islamic state and Islam dominating the world, you realize that they hold some of the same goals as Al-Qaeda and millions of radicals around the world. And that's what makes them dangerous.
There's no compulsion in Islam. That means we can't force it on you. But we will force Islamic Sharia, inshallah.
Isn't it time for the unbelievers to discard these incoherent, illogical beliefs, theories, and conjecture? Isn't it time for every Christian, Jew, pagan, and atheist to cast off the cloak of spiritual darkness which enshrouds them and emerge into the light of Islam?
Have you ever stopped to think about what would happen if the Islamists won and their version of Sharia law was put into place? All you need to do is look at countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Sudan, and Somalia, and places like the Gaza Strip, and you'll see that those places are human rights disasters.
Across the world, we see that Christians are having a terrible time of it.
Christians in Iraq are deliberately targeted. The past 6 months alone, 7 priests have been kidnapped and 2 of them murdered.
All kinds of countries. We see Christians being persecuted, being oppressed, their churches being burned down, Christians being murdered, sometimes in very large number.
They were in the church for prayer when the car bomb went off.
The Christian communities in most Muslim countries now clearly feel themselves to be under strain. And it's noticeable, for example, that a town like Bethlehem, which was once predominantly Christian, now has very few Christians remaining.
Bethlehem is once a Christian city, but today Christians are only about 10 to 15% of the population here.
My father's been shot at 3 separate times for one simple reason: carrying that cross and walking every day.
Where there are Christian minorities and where there are Jewish minorities in any one of the countries where there is an Islamic majority, they are persecuted, they are overtaxed, they have to hide their religion.
चंद इस्लामिक मुल्कों में, मिसाल के तौर पर सऊदी अरेबिया, etc. में propagation of any other religion is prohibited. Even construction of any place of worship is also prohibited.
In the homeland of Islam, Saudi Arabia, the Vatican of Islam, you're not allowed to build a church and you're not allowed to carry a Bible. It's both an offense.
और अल्लाह ताला फरमाते हैं सूरह इमरान सूरह नंबर 3 आयत नंबर 85 में कि इस्लाम के अलावा कोई भी दिगर मज़हब अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला कबूल नहीं करेगी। तो दीन के मामले में हम जानते हैं इस्लाम ही सिर्फ सही दीन है, इसीलिए हम दूसरे दीन का प्रोपगेशन अलाउ नहीं करते।
Look at the Taliban when they got into Afghanistan. They put out a fatwa to destroy the Buddha statues. That were there for hundreds of years and that were very valuable.
The Islamo-fascists who are attacking the world want to impose their beliefs on the world.
Not many people are aware of the fact that in Iran, you'll find the so-called modesty police patrolling the streets.
گلم وانتود هم تنگه هم خیلی چکش بازه.
بله دیگه فقط موهاتون الان بیرون نشارتون رو زحمت بکشین درست کنین.
توی کشور اسلامی زندگی میکنیم درسته. موهاتون هم الان کاملا پیداست. آرایشتون هم تنده.
شلوارتون هم که کوتاهه. شما با ما تشریف میارید داخل اتوبوس.
If women are caught wearing the wrong clothing, they could be fined or even arrested.
To women entering this shop in Tehran, a message saying all clothes sold here have been approved by the police. The length and size of coats, nothing too short, nothing too tight, and mostly in black. Women who shop here know there's no risk of getting a warning or being arrested for indecency.
من هؤلاء الذين يقررون لي ماذا يجب أن أكون عليه؟ لماذا تعاملوني كسيدة كأنني ناقصة الهوية وهنالك دائما صوت ذكوريا يقرر لي ما يجب أن أكون عليه.
As a woman, if you, and all individuals are different, but if you are an individual woman with a strong character and you rebel against this kind of life, you run more than anyone else the risk of being beaten. Abused. Your spirit being killed by your own family, by your own loved ones.
ولا بد أن نعلم أن الضرب عقوبة شرعية لا يملك إنسان أن ينكره لأن الذي شرعها هو الذي خلق هذا الإنسان.
هو لا شك أن الضرب هو يعتبر وسيلة من وسائل الإصلاح.
قال لي أنا ماني جاي أضربك، أنا جاي أقتلك. ومسك في رقبتي وسدحني على الأرض وبدأ يخنق فيها بنظرات يعني.
But the issue of men controlling women's lives goes much deeper. It can even result in murder.
Just another teenager with everything to live for, except that Heshu Yonez was trapped between two cultures. When she began a relationship with a Christian Lebanese boy, her strict Kurdish Muslim father slit her throat.
Chowdhury Rashid is charged with first-degree murder in the death over the weekend of his 25-year-old daughter, Sandila Khanwal. Based on what police say, this could be what's known as an honor killing, the murder of a woman, often by a family member, to punish her for shaming the family.
According to the United Nations, some 5,000 women and girls are victims of so-called honor killings every year. Whether it's because they've been seen talking to a man, refusing an arranged marriage, or even suffering rape, they're murdered for one reason only. They're perceived to have brought shame on their family. And it's often the family that carries out the sentence.
This is Aksa Parvez. Her father told authorities that he strangled her, allegedly, because she wouldn't wear a headscarf.
We are bound by the rules. If a woman runs away, she must be killed.
Good name is more important than the penalty. We don't care about the penalty. A good name is the most important thing in our world.
Islam does not countenance honor killing, but has nevertheless become part of Islam as practiced in much of the Islamic world.
It's not just women and children that are repressed in these countries. You would never want the government to find out you're gay.
In a society where radical Islam rules, gays are seen to be people with a contagious disease, a very bad disease.
هذا فساد كبير. هذا فساد كبير.
Sometimes we are blunt. When the Islamic ruling system is established, like you said, we're gonna give them a choice. We're gonna consult them, give them choice of therapy, and tell them to abandon their homosexual lifestyle. And if they don't, either leave, or if you wanna be here, then you're gonna be face the punishment as a criminal.